It was so positive 2 weeks ago, Matt, that we decided to take another run into the two-tone vault this week. We're going to do the Specials, their debut album, The Specials from 1979.
Yes,
so,
The Specials.
Matt, you run the numbers and you get to talk first.
Wonderful. So this comes in at number 202. The Specials comes in at number 206 in the 1970s on Best Ever Albums. Number 16 in 1979, number 939 of all time, and it is their highest rated album on Best Ever Albums. And I don't know, man. I gotta go with I gotta start off these takes on the ska. It's fun. I think I'm more of like I don't hate ska. It's fine. It's just, again, it just is not doing a whole lot for me. I do appreciate on this record, it seemed it's a little bit more slowed down. I don't find the songs when they get into the horns and the speed isn't there as much as it could be with some other ska that I've heard. And so that's kind of appreciate that again. It kind of, again, this kind of just blends together for me. I did listen to this several times, and I kind of was just like, okay. I didn't strike me as being goofy. I think a couple weeks ago when we talked about Madness, I was commenting on how kind of cartoonish and goofy and gimmicky it is. I didn't get that feeling with this as much.
No, you can call the Specials a lot of things, but goofy would not be a term.
Yeah, it didn't seem. There's some goofy parts, like there's the guy that was the court. He's kind of in the court.
Oh yeah.
What song is that? I forget. I forget.
Do the dog?
No,
he's like
it's no, not stupid. It's oh man, I just listened to that too. Whatever. I know who you're talking.
You know what I'm talking about. He's kind of like he's the court. He's the judge. You're like, oh, this courtroom to order, and he's got this
blank
thick
expression,
like Jamaican accent or something. So there's a little bit of that. There's a little bit of theatrics there. I was laughing at some of the songs at the end, like Stupid Marriage and Too Much Too Young, like totally like ripping on like people settling down in the married life, and you could have more fun if you were, you could be having fun if you were with me, but you got a kid, so sucks to be you, kind of a thing. So I'm like, I thought that, and again, Too Much Too Young, that got drawn out. Wait, that's the longest song on here. That does not need to be 6 minutes long.
There is a 2 minute and 30-second version of that, which I almost forget that this version exists, because the way more famous version and the one that went to number one in Britain is a 2.5 minute hyper sped up version of that song, which is, I will fully admit, a much better version of that song.
Yeah, okay.
I actually walked away from it at one point and came back. I was like, oh, this song is still
I'm like, this is still on? It's like, really? And unlike
well, you know what they're going for with that. Well, I'll save that for my take. There's a purpose for it, by the way.
Okay, well, unlike the Buzzcocks where they were doing Why Can't I Touch It, that went over and over again, that probably went too long, but I was still like, okay, I can still get down to this. This was just, oh my God, and it was buried, and then it got stuck in my head, and I didn't really want it there, so I wasn't as big on that. So I don't know. Maybe I can go thumbs in the middle here, but it's one of those things. It doesn't move me like it the way it does some of you guys. I definitely, and I picked up on some of the other stuff. Yeah, I could definitely, John, I remember you saying something about their lyrics being a little bit darker, a little bit more political, and I certainly got
a little bit
with but I definitely picked up on some of that here or there. What is it? The one. Oh, I forget. Where they're talking about like, oh, it doesn't make it all right. That one, that song, definitely stood out. Kind of like calling out racists, essentially. Yeah. It's you guys are going to be able to speak much more eloquently than me on this. To me, listening to this record, the music was kind of in the background. It was kind of there. I wasn't like viscerally going, oh my God, I can't listen to this. It's just, I think at the end of the day, this is just one of those things where I can listen to it and be like, okay, I think I get why people like it. It's not really. I'm very meh on it. I think it's not like, oh, I hate this. It's just like, okay, moving on. And I just can't. I can't connect with it the way that you guys can, at least anyway. So,
all right. Thank God Matt's done.
Yep.
Do you want to go next, Josh? And I'll go last. But
sure. I mean, this is the best of the two-tone ska that you're gonna get. So if you don't like this, then I don't think
Agreed.
you're gonna like
You're
it.
not if you don't like this. Yeah,
it's I like this more than the madness. I like the more laid back vibe or the more restrained vibe that they do. I feel like the madness and later punk iterations can sometimes go a bit too frenetic and overboard with things. Too much paprika, as I heard on one podcast one time. So, I respond to the ska beat, the like that sound. I always like that. They use the horns judiciously here. They're not, omnipresent. They're kind of selectively used throughout. The keyboards are a nice addition too that they use, or an organ or whatever it is. It has all the hallmarks. It's got some political commentary of it. It's got kind of a fun spirit to it. It doesn't take itself too seriously, and it's fun to dance to, which is kind of, the whole point of ska, as people in Bob Marley documentary said. I think the fact that it harkens back more to traditional classic ska is what makes it work for me, and why I think it's like a good homage or kind of lineage to that, to Jamaica. I think that the fact that there's a black man, black British man in the band helps as well. It's not all white, and the fact that they have multiple vocalists also adds a variety to it. So yeah, I like this. I thought some of the lyrics are quite funny, and yeah, it's worth a listen for sure.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite albums ever. So I feel like when Matt jumps in and we're shitting on Pink Floyd kind of at times, and he gets really all right. This is the first time in the entire time we've done the podcast where I'm like, all right, guys, stop, so I could tell why this album's awesome. And I think there's pieces that are missing. The first thing that stands out about this album is the fact that the lyrics are great, especially for someone like me who has a little bit of a cynical worldview, and I feel like Terry Hall is my filter to the world, kind of, because I love his flat affect in these songs while he's singing very provocative things. And make no mistake about it, these are remarkably provocative things, about contraception and whether or not people should get married, and racism and classism and criminal justice. I mean, this, not only is this album not trite, this album is hard-hitting political commentary. And the fact that it's coming from both white and black folks is also very unique, because there aren't a lot of people that are doing that, right? There's a lot of folks coming from, their own perspective in this. So it's kind of its own thing there. And then I love how even when they're doing all of that, they'll just throw in something like Do the Dog just to give you a full party vibe, before going back to It's Up to You. And, Nightclub's a hilarious song about going out to nightclubs and are we at the coolest place? And it's do we even want to be, or stuff. There's a lot of class commentary. This is a very working class album, which I think, give me this instead of 5 Bruce Springsteen albums in terms of talking about the working class experience. So I love that. This album could have been written yesterday, because when you think about Brexit and stuff, my God, this album could be written in 2022 with the themes. I don't know if it's sad or if it's incredibly another part of this album that's great. That someone once said about this album, it's of a time and a place that somehow both you're in that time of the place and you feel like you recognize it's there, but also it's universal somehow at the same time. And I'm there you go. Because this is kind of about being young and angry, but also allowing yourself from time to time the ability to, drink and have fun. And there's just enough of those times that I feel to me, it mimics a life, of somebody who's pissed, Gangsters is an incredible song. I've always loved Gangsters. It's a fantastic song. Nightclub is an incredible song. I mean, these are staples of not just two-tone ska, but ska in general. I know some people may find the specials to be a little bit preachy at times with the message, but I mean, Too Much Too Young, the long version, is clearly designed by going long to like simulate how fucking boring being in a marriage. I'm surprised you guys didn't get that. That's like what they're going for. Like, he repeats himself, and like what he's repeating is all the boring shit that happens when you do, and it's designed like to knock teenage pregnancy, right? That's what it's like. This is what it's going to be. You're going to watch shows on the telly, and then you're going to do this other thing. And oh, by the way, you're going to watch shows on the telly again. And then you're going to do this other thing that you did. Like, that's the design. Now, I know that's like a statement, and it kind of drives people nuts. And there is that 2.5 minute version that gets it across without doing it. But I admire that. I mean, Little Bitch is one of those songs that's great. I don't know, like, it definitely is, you know, not a song you can write in 2022 anymore, I think. But it's basically about, like, classist women looking down at you and saying, like, yeah, but I recognize that you're a bitch, too. So, like, you know, have at it. You know, you look down at me and I know what you are. But I mean, this is a great fusion of, I feel like, 50s and 60s rock and roll guitar mixed with reggae and the first gen ska mixed with a quintessential Britishness as well. It's hard for me to be neutral about this because this was such a foundational music and sound for me. I love this era of music. I don't think Matt's wrong. I will always die on a hill that I think there become narratives about types of music that people don't even realize that the narrative becomes baked in because they just hear it enough that it's there. I'm not saying that's what's happening with people with ska, but I think if you can't tell the difference between third generation ska and this in terms of the seriousness of this, the sonic sound like of this that's very more driven by like the reggae type sound. The downbeat is, you know, the upbeat is played at like down tempo at times. Yeah, I love this album. I'm not going to sit here and say it's like a masterpiece if we're rating as an art piece to an art piece, but in terms of something that speaks to me, I think that it's remarkably durable as a piece of political commentary because it walks a line of being remarkably cynical, but not in the type of way that makes you, at least to me, makes you tune out the message. It gets it across. So, yeah. High thumbs up for me. With that being said, I don't think it's for everybody. I will say that. And as Josh said, this is the two-tone ska album to listen to. I love the Selector, I love the English beat, but this is the one to listen to.
The covers on here are very good as well. A lot of them are classic, songs like Monkey Man and Message to You,
Rudy. Yep.
And those are very well done on here.
I also think Blank Expression's a hilarious song. I've always found that to be one of my favorite songs. It's basically about like saying stupid stuff and having a stupid look on your face while you say the stupid stuff, which makes you even more angry at someone when it's like you say this incredibly ignorant thing and you look like a moron too, which there's just such a like, to someone like me, you know what I mean, who can be a little bit cynical at times, there's something just very funny about like Terry Hall's like, you know, why do you get that blank expression on your face? You know, when it's just like, yep, there it is. Like, that's exactly what it is. So, I also love the last, like, part of it when, like, the fury builds in Little Bitch till the very end. When Terry Hall just, like, signs it off with, like, you're a little bitch. Like, and then it's boom. And it's right into, like, up-tempo ska, like, just to, like, really drive it home. So, yeah. Yeah, I love this album. So, there you go.
Yep. Same. I like it too a lot.
So I will say I didn't know there was I didn't know that there's like this narrative of like people panning ska and the critics and stuff like that. I never really thought of it like that. It's something like I said. I said it before with the Madness thing. As soon as I started hearing it, I was like, I think and part of it's such like I feel like I'm missing out on something, and it just never really got to that point. So
it's very interesting too because it doesn't carry over to British critics, which can be some of the most harsh critics that exist, but. I think because two-tone ska, like what it represented, like black and white artists coming together and making a very, you know, Madness less so, Matt. They're different a little bit, but like if you listen to the Specials and the Selector and the English Beat, like they're a critique of like the beginning of Thatcherism, right? And just like that,
yeah,
what British was. And I think because of that, they hold a special place to Brits, you know what I mean? Where they almost don't process it like I think people process ska a little bit. It's as much a movement as it is. And, we've talked about things like mods and stuff like that. And, two-tone was its own sort of movement, and it ages remarkably well because what they're singing about is stuff that ages well, so
stuff we're still dealing with.
Yes.
Yeah, to this very day. I mean, like they could be writing about, as I said before, they could be writing about Brexit England right now. They could be writing about this stuff. So, yeah.